Today, I sit down with Flo. She is a cleaner in South London, and she is a single parent to an autistic boy named Israel, who's 7 years old. Flo talks about what it's like to be the parent of someone who's autistic, how in the beginning she was really overwhelmed, and the challenges that they've had to overcome together. She thinks now that they found their groove, she is in a better place mentally. And she shares some tips of how she has stayed in a good mental health state and how, if you know someone who has an autistic child, you can support them. Hello, Flo. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. All's well. Good to see you.
Thanks. I know.
I know, it's always good. So, without further ado, it'd be really great to hear a little bit more about like where you're from, a little bit about yourself and your son, and your story.
Okay, so I'm Florette. um, I originated from Sierra Leone, moved to London when I was maybe 8 or 9 years of age. So pretty much been raised in London.
Wow, do you have any family over there still?
Yeah, I still have some family over there, but most of like my parents, my cousins I grew up with, everyone is pretty much all the like super, super important people are here.
Yeah,
So
we won't tell the others. They're not super important.
yeah.
The
Wow,
super
I'm not
important
offended. I
people
hope
came
I'm
with
not
me.
offending anyone.
Cool. So, what's your son's name?
So he's Israel. He's 7 years of age. Sweet, sweet boy.
Where's Israel today?
Right now, he's actually having a bubble bath.
Oh,
Oh yeah, this is the only way I can do this without any disturbance. Otherwise, he will be like, "Oh, who's this?"
so it would be great to hear, what are some of the things you noticed that prompted you when, you had Israel that you wanted to have him tested for autism?
To be honest, I didn't personally notice that. That's what I think was normal. So when he went started nursery, he had speech delay. So when he started doing his speech therapy, they said, "Oh, he might have a slight autism." So that's how he got the testing done. So once everything was tested, then it was confirmed he does have like a medium range of autism, basically. So that's how everything came to light.
Yeah. How old was he then if it was that?
I think he was about maybe 3 years of age, to be honest. If I remember correctly, he was about 3 years old.
Is that
Yeah.
quite an early diagnosis?
Yes, but to be fair, it's better. I'm happy that he got it diagnosed early on rather than at later stage,
Yeah.
because I do know people that's got kids that has theirs at later stage where they wish they would have known earlier to give them that extra help and support from the very
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you talk with him openly about it?
I do, but I feel like because he's still so young, he doesn't really grasp what having autism is.
Mm.
So he's like, a carefree child that don't really care at this point in time.
Yeah.
That for him is just like, go to school, play with your friends, come home, be around me, be around family. So he doesn't, I don't feel like he fully understands what it means to have autism just yet.
Yeah.
Maybe as he gets older to that maybe teenage stage, then
Mm.
obviously I would have to keep explaining to him at that stage again.
Yeah. What was that like for you when you found out the diagnosis?
I feel like my life was ending.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like because I never had like things like autism around me or like in my family. So I really and truly, you hear about autism, but you don't really grasp what it really is if you don't personally experience it. So I remember when they told me, I was just like, I'm looking at the person, I was like, okay, so what am I supposed to do now? And I think I just literally just broke down and started crying. And
Yeah.
then, I feel like because they go through this a lot with parents who they're like, it's okay to cry, take your time. And then they basically just explained everything to me, gave me leaflets, explaining what autism is, and just reassuring me that I'm not in this alone and things like that. But it was very hard just accepting that, oh, your child has autism, because to be fair, everyone wants, what's best for their child, want like a normal childhood and like nothing maybe getting in the way and things like that. So it was very hard in the beginning. But now it's
Yeah.
like, oh, but
Yeah. Do you feel like they said to you, you're not alone, but did they provide support in any way? Like was this the
I
UK
feel
system?
like they did, but at the same time, I was just bombarded with so many leaflets. I was like,
Mm.
it was really overwhelming, to be honest, because for a first time parent experiencing this, you just feel like, what did I do wrong? Type of
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
But they did, offer me support. They had workshops that's just specifically for parents without, for example, taking your child there. So, you can like experience each other's experience, give each other advice and things like that. So I did get support from them. Yeah.
That's really good. And is Israel's father like involved, and how did he handle it?
I feel like, to be fair, he is involved, but I feel like in that stage, I practically had to, because we were separated at the time. So I more or less had to handle everything on my own, going to the appointments,
Mm.
making sure he's still doing his speech therapy. Like whatever appointments he had, it was literally all me, constantly, to the point where
Yeah.
I'm like, you realize, we shared this child together. So it can't
Yeah.
just be me. But
Yeah.
now he's involved fully. Yeah.
He is. So that's good that you feel like he's more supportive, but at the time it sounds like you felt quite alone in that. Did
Yeah.
I think you and I spoke about before, I think you mentioned, you said in the Black community, autism isn't really spoken about and well known. Would you explain
Yeah. I feel
why that?
like maybe it's a cultural thing coming from like, African background where like back home, things like that, it's not like it doesn't exist, but people are not educated about it. Or it's just like your child will just be labeled like a weirdo or, things like that. So for me, it was one of those things where, okay, I have an autistic child now. How am I going to tell people around me? I'm not personally ashamed, but it's just that label that, that they're going to put on your child.
Mm.
Like, and then it makes you feel like, oh, did I, like, like I said before, did I do something that, might have caused this? Which now looking back, that's just like just me thinking very silly, to be honest.
Yeah, that is not in your control, and that's nothing
Yeah.
to do with your actions. That must have
Hmm.
been really hard to have thought that about, what did I do?
Yes, of course. Yeah, no, that was very hard. I feel like the first reaction for a parent is that you put the blame on yourself, like, was I not happy in my pregnancy? Because sometimes they say the emotions you go through whilst you're pregnant gets passed down to the child. So I was thinking, oh, maybe all of that was part of the reason. So
I've
yeah,
actually I've actually never heard that about the emotions being passed down to the child, but
yeah.
it sounds like that's probably not the scientific proven for
Oh
autism.
yeah, I highly doubt it. I highly
Yeah.
doubt that.
So Israel is 7 years old.
Yeah.
What kind of like life what is his life like? Like how's living with autism for him?
Well, for him, I feel like for him it's just like he's just so happy. So I don't feel like he thinks anything is wrong with it. I feel like it's such a young age to even start thinking, oh, I'm not normal. And I don't even put that onto him for him to feel like that in any way, shape, or form. I just feel like as the parent, it's very hard in the beginning, especially when you don't have no experience with dealing with, autism and things like this, where you have to find the rhythm to basically make things work. So for me, I had to like read up on autism, like I was constantly reading, Googling, YouTube, whatever it was, so that I don't take out my frustration and make him feel like, I don't
Mm.
want it to be like an unhappy child. I had to make sure I'm educated within myself. Um, in the beginning, he was very like repetitive in the things he did. Going out was a nightmare because he would have the biggest meltdowns, and I really and truly didn't even want to like take him to the park, go shopping with it. It was so hard. But now it's like he's a completely different child, because even though he still have, his meltdowns and his tantrums and things, but it's not as much as it was in the beginning. I feel like we were
Mm.
both learning at that stage.
Yeah. Is that common with autism? The meltdowns? Is that what you
Oh yeah, that's very, very common because I feel like for them, they're trying to communicate with you.
Mm,
And if we can't understand them, it's like frustrating for them. So I
yeah.
guess in a way, that's them like lashing out and you know, communicating, say, I'm upset, but you don't get what I'm trying to say to you.
Yeah.
So for me, at that moment, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, what am I gonna do? I was so I
Yeah.
was so overwhelmed. It was so hard. But I feel like I just found like little tricks to help me get on with it, found ways to help him like calm down with his tantrums when we're going out. I knew, okay, take his snacks, maybe take his iPad, find ways to distract him so I'm able to just carry on with my routine and he's
Mm.
still gonna be happy and things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
What was your mental health like at the time? Because it sounds like you were a single parent finding this out.
Oh
That
yeah.
must have been so hard.
I feel like I was a little bit depressed, but I didn't let it show just because I didn't want. I feel like when you're depressed, your child notices like the behavior because there'll be times when he just comes and just randomly hugs me and be like, "Oh, mommy, are you okay?" So I didn't really want to be so negative around him. So I'll always, you know, be happy, smiley, and then nighttime I'll be bawling my eyes out. So it was
Oh,
like really, really hard for me in the beginning.
yeah.
I feel like at that moment in time, my mental health, it's like you're battling within yourself. So for
Yeah.
me at that stage, it was like really, really challenging, to be honest.
Were you open with your family members and friends about that?
I wasn't in the beginning
Mhm.
because I'm the sort of person I like to keep my emotions to myself and like handle my own problems. But then I feel like the more I start speaking about it to my family, to my friends, you know, them offering advice, helping me, whether it's to babysit, to just let me have my time, that really took off the pressure for me.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just like there are people that are there for me. They're not judging me, nothing, you know. So just allow people to help you, basically.
Yeah, letting people in. That and
Yeah.
I think you and I spoke before about how you don't know how you would have done it without your mom.
Oh yeah. My mom is
Yeah.
like, she's one of. If I call her today to say I need help, whether it's babysitting or whatever, she's always down to do whatever she needs to do. Like,
Oh.
and to the point where my Israel just loves spending time at my mom's house. Whenever
Yeah.
he goes there, he never wants to come home. I'm like, you don't want to come home with me? He's like, no, I want to stay with grandma. So my mom, I feel like my mom is definitely my rock. Yeah.
That's so nice, and I love how Israel's so honest too. He's like,
Oh
"No."
yeah, very. They're so pure.
Mm.
So for them, everything else, if they don't like something, and Israel's very outspoken. If he doesn't like something, he would tell you immediately he doesn't like it. Whether it's food or you did something wrong to him, he will just let you know straight away that he does not like it.
What are some things that he doesn't like?
For me, do you know what? My biggest problem is food. That is
Okay.
so hard.
Yeah.
So he eats on his own, but he prefers me feeding him, which is so annoying because I'm like, you are 7 years of age. You can feed. I know you can feed yourself.
Yeah.
But it's like he would take forever to like, you know, eat, or he hates vegetables. Oh, I think I told you this before. He does not like vegetables at all. So I usually have to just bribe him to say, oh, if you eat your vegetables, I'm gonna go to grandma's house, you know, I'll take you to the park. So anything I need to do to get him to eat his food, if I have to
Yeah.
lie, I'm lying.
I've also read like that's actually quite common is like with food, something to do with like people like having to separate food so that it doesn't touch. Is that common
So for
or
him, he doesn't separate the food. He just generally just hates vegetables. What he hates is
yeah.
having the feel of fruits in his hand. So he doesn't like touching any type of fruit, like banana, nothing. It's like anything that has some sort of texture, he does not like. So
Okay.
that's his like pet peeve, I guess. He just hates touching fruits and things like that.
What
Oh
are
yeah,
like the things he enjoys doing?
so for him, I feel like he's very active. He will go to the park all day if you allow him to do that. He likes playing with, like, he likes going on public transport, the bus,
Oh,
the trains.
Yeah.
So for me, going on public transport is really calming because that really distracts him in a way. So I have no problem with
Mm.
traveling with him if we go out because
Yeah.
he likes, the moving trains when he sees cars, when he just, I don't know, for him, it's just like a big adventure, like
Yeah.
doing all these things. Yeah.
That's so sweet and so good because in London, there's enough public transportation to keep him entertained.
Oh yeah, sometimes he even cries to go on the bus. I'm like, you can't, we're not going on the bus today. He loves
Oh,
public
Israel.
transport so much.
So for you, what is like the biggest obstacle that you've been facing or had to face?
For me, it's more to do with like, when he's in school, I hope like, no one is gonna pick on him
Mm.
because for him in the beginning, he liked to play on his own. So obviously they were trying to get him to like interact with children and just be around kids, but he still preferred to just be by himself and then play.
Yeah.
But now he's a lot better where you will see him interact, but he still prefers self-play,
Yeah.
which can be an advantage for me when I'm at home, to be honest.
That's
Because I
true.
could be doing something like I could be cleaning something else, but I can leave him. He's fine to play on his own.
Yeah.
And also obviously for me is like as he gets older, I feel like primary school is okay, but when you get to that secondary school, kids are more like,
Mm.
more picking on you if you don't if you're not classed as normal. So for me,
Yeah.
that's my biggest like worry to say when he gets to that stage,
Yeah.
how is he going to be accepted? Are they going to pick on him? And just things like that. To be honest,
Yeah.
yeah.
What other worries do you have?
Um, I feel for me it's more now. I feel like I'm just looking way into the future of like,
Mm.
is he going to be able to live on his own, like have a
Yeah.
normal relationship,
Yeah.
maybe have down the line have kids of his own,
Mm.
and just be able to achieve it, whether or not going to college, going to uni, would he be able to, handle those situations,
Mm.
or does he have to live with me for the rest of his life? So for
Yeah.
me, I'm like, I'm thinking way ahead right now.
Yeah. I feel like that's a very common theme that like from the research I've done of like concerns for
Yeah.
parents. And
Yeah.
it sounds like there is so much like support out there of like I know for example the person I interviewed someone with autism that you know of, and I think you said
Yeah.
that you thought they probably had high functioning autism. Um
Yeah.
but what his parents did was really take something he was really, really into and help
Mhm.
him make a career out of it and wanted him to
Yeah.
live independently. Do you think that Israel will be able to like there is something for him, or is that for you you don't really see something?
No, for me, I feel like I do see his passion in. If you look at your child closely, you see that the things he's interested. Like for me, right now, he's very interested in like watching like engineering type of
Mhm.
videos. He's obsessed with those type of things.
Yeah.
So and everyone keeps saying, "Oh, you never know, he might be an engineer as he gets older." I'm like, "Oh yes, let go ahead, let him be one. I'll
Yeah.
be happy." For me, I
Yeah.
do feel like I'm personally the type of person that will do anything in my power to make sure he can go as further as possible if he
Mm.
wants to. And I
Yeah.
feel like just because he has autism doesn't mean he can't achieve. I've seen so many stories, people going to uni, achieving first class degrees and things like that. So I'm not gonna say, oh, because you have autism, you can't achieve, or you know, making that as an excuse to just be relaxed about it. So for me,
Yeah.
it's like autism or not, like that don't matter to me. You would definitely be an achiever in life.
Yes, I feel like
Yeah.
you're such a good mom, and I'm
Oh,
so
thank
glad that I
you.
got to meet Israel. And I
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like I regret my Christmas gift to him of,
Oh
the
no, but he
shotgun.
did. He
Was
really
it?
did love it. He
Are
did.
you
He loved
sure?
it.
Because I was like, "Oh god, actually, it might have just made Flo's life hell."
I told you we got a cat, so it's more he was shooting the cat.
Just shooting the cat, not Flo, everyone. And by the way, these are very, like, sponge balls. These are
Oh
not, like,
yeah, nothing
pellets.
violent and
There's
nothing
no
like that.
animal abuse going on.
Oh yeah. No, he
Coming
likes
back
it a lot.
to you and how this has, like, influenced your life, I remember you saying you feel like at sometimes there's no break Is it do you
Yeah.
still feel that way, and for how has that been since the beginning, and it still hasn't kind of turned
Yeah, I
off?
feel like it definitely has changed in the beginning. I feel like because I was trying to do everything by myself, not having the help. So I was putting a lot of strain onto myself mentally and physically.
Yeah.
But now for me, the strain I feel is like working, having to balance home life, and
Mm,
having to balance, forget the autism part, just generally just having a child, having to balance
yeah,
everything and just trying to make everything run smoothly in your house. You know, you come home from work, you still have to make sure your dishes are done, your child is
yeah,
fed, trying to do homework. So sometimes it does get overwhelming.
yeah,
So for me, how I handle that is usually sometimes on the weekend, he will either go to my mom's house or one of my cousins will take him just so that I can have just my time alone. And I feel like
yeah,
that really does reset me mentally where when he comes back, I'm like, oh, I've missed you so much. Like,
yeah,
I'm good to be productive again. So I feel
yeah,
like, don't be scared. Allow your child to go visit family, friends, whoever can help you take that time personally for yourself. So
yeah,
for me, I feel like having just that, whether it's one day away from him, really
mm,
does reset me mentally and physically. So I
yeah,
feel like that's really, really important. You need your own time, whether it's to just do nothing all day at home, whether it's to maybe meet your friends, go out, chat, whatever it is you need to do, just
yeah.
have that moment for yourself without your child.
Yeah, that's so wonderful that he loves, like, your mom so much
Oh
as
yeah.
well, because you know he's
He's
in, like, good
such a
hands.
people person that another fear for me is like, oh my gosh, this child, if someone say, Israel, let's go, he would be like, okay, because he
Oh,
generally just
yeah.
loves like interacting with strangers. And for me,
Really?
now he's a lot better with stranger danger because I keep telling him as well, you don't speak to strangers you don't know, you don't accept sweets from strangers,
Mm,
anything. If I'm not there, you don't know the person, you don't take. So I'm slowly every single day drilling that in his head. So randomly, I'll just ask him if a stranger say, Israel, take something sweet. Are you gonna take it? Yes or no? Sometimes he'll be like, no. Sometimes he'll be like, yes, because he has such a sweet tooth. So for me, it's like, oh my gosh, I got a lot of
He's
work
like,
to do.
"Depends what it is."
Oh, literally. He's got such a sweet tooth that I'm just like, oh, if someone offered this boy a sweet, he's gonna be like, okay, thank you.
So that is a fear for you, is someone taking advantage perhaps of him
Yeah,
not being aware of the stranger danger.
yeah.
Okay.
Something as well I've said to the school where whatever my worries are, sometimes you can let the school know so that they can help teach him as well. So
Mm.
that, the more teaching he gets, the more he'll be okay. Like if anything like this happened, to be able to avoid it and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And is the school, quite supportive with
Oh,
Israel?
oh yeah, yeah. They're very, very. I usually get like weekly feedbacks about how he's doing. There's times we'll have meetings to say, okay, what what um what help do you think he might need extra in school? How else we can, help support him and things like that. And there'll be
Yeah.
things that they might tell me to maybe do at home so that
Yeah.
he can help his school life as well.
Yeah.
So
That's so
yeah.
amazing. Is that a specialist school?
No, it's just he goes to a mainstream school, but he does
Wow.
have like an educational plan in school
Yeah.
to just help him to be able to cope more in classes and things like that.
That's so good. I think the UK system, they've done really well with providing support.
See,
'Cause
that's the good thing of having the early diagnosis. The earlier you have it, the more they can get things in place ready for him as he goes to school and things like that. So
mm,
yeah,
I've actually not thought about that. That's a good point. 'Cause,
yeah,
I'm from Bermuda, and I just don't feel like we have those kind of systems.
yeah.
So I feel like people have to, like, move and uproot their family to go
Okay,
away,
yeah,
and
somewhere
then
else.
not
Yeah,
have other family around them for that support just to try and go
yeah,
to that school. So
yeah.
that must be quite hard. So for you, with, like, having Israel, that's been, like, your main focus, but have you had some time, like you said, your days off to, I don't know if you're interested in dating. Has that been something?
But for that, I am interested in dating, but I can't find these good men.
Good men out there, please know
No, but to
Flo
be
is
honest, I feel like
available.
because I don't go out often,
Okay.
so I'm expecting the guy to knock on my door and be like, "I'm here, girl." But I know I said to myself this year, I'm gonna go out more just
Mhm.
so I can meet people. I can't get with someone if I don't meet them.
Yeah,
So I
that's
need to
true.
put myself out there. So yeah.
Yeah. Is it important for you that like, are you looking for someone specific or are you just wanting someone who you really gel with? Because I know introducing like someone to Israel is
Yeah.
important.
I mean, I feel like once there's a connection, I'm not like looking for someone specific. It's just that if we have a connection, then we have a connection, to be honest. That's it. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. I think, it's so hard to date in these times. I
Oh yeah.
honestly, I don't even know where people meet other than online. Do you know what I mean? Like not meeting naturally is very hard.
And you know what? I have tried online dating, but I just keep finding these weirdos. I'm like, oh no. So I've tried online dating and it hasn't worked.
It has not. Is it important for you, like, if you were to date, would you be saying to someone, "Look," or would you be looking for someone who would be supportive of someone with Israel?
Of course, because I personally I don't feel like I can ever be with someone that can't be supportive of my child.
Yeah,
So from the very get-go, you would know I have a child that has autism. So
yeah.
if you can't get with it, or for
Mm,
me, if you can't treat my child,
yeah.
great, then there's no way we can go any further. Absolutely not. Yeah.
That makes so much sense. Have you ever seen, Love on the Spectrum, by the way? I asked this before, but
Oh no, but remember I said I saw something similar. Was that Undateables or something?
yes, yes.
Yes, yeah, yeah, I've seen that.
Oh, so for people listening and who maybe have listened to the other episode, it's where people with autism go dating. And I just think there's just something so special about that.
Oh yeah, no, I really should watch that just to see. I would love that. I think I really would.
But yeah, for me that was the inspiration because you get to learn about the parents.
Yeah.
And it was kind of the inspiration of this episode was kind of seeing how the parents have interacted. And I actually was researching and it said a lot of the time people who have an autistic child struggle to stay together. Is that just something I've read on the internet, or do you see that there's facts behind
It
that?
might be because maybe it's a lot. I feel like with women, we're more, okay, my child has autism, hands on. Whereas guys, they might not know how to handle when a child is having the tantrum. If your child can't speak, it gets frustrating, and sometimes you are, especially if you're an impatient person, it's hard to deal with. But I feel like with mothers, because we know we can't, the love for our child, we can't just walk away. So
Yeah.
I don't even know from a guy's perspective, but
Yeah.
that's hard.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe just the pressure of trying to deal with the child having autism, especially if you have other children as well, it
Mm,
can be that's even for me, just having the one is a lot. So I
yeah.
can imagine people that have like more than one children. It's
Yeah.
like that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that being quite tough. And
Yeah.
I think, do you feel that with work, like that's quite flexible and you've been able to manage that schedule well?
Oh yeah. Ugh. Now definitely. But in the
Yeah.
beginning, I was like, oh my days, I think I should just quit my job. I should just
Yeah.
like focus on my child and just my home and things like that. But now it's
Mhm.
like I do have flexible work, so therefore I'm able to balance, my
Yeah.
school runs and everything like that, which is good.
Yeah. And is your school nearby?
Oh yeah, it's the walking distance from the house.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think flexible working it like is like key for that, being able to control that
Yeah.
bit of your schedule as well. Because you book different times that suit you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what advice would you offer parents who've recently found out their child is autistic?
For me, my main advice would be educate yourself if you don't know what autism is for a
Mm,
fact. Be patient because it's going to take time for you to adjust, for the child to adjust, for you to find things that work that maybe not work. And also don't be afraid to ask for help. Those are my 3 main advice. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how can people who have friends or family members with an autistic child support them?
I feel like generally, even just talking helps. Even offering to say, if you just need an hour to yourself, I can babysit for you. Things like that. Just maybe having, like, if you have people that have other kids, having just the play date, it
Yeah.
helps. So just little things like that will help you.
Yeah. And final question, what's your favorite thing about being Israel's mom?
Oh my days, I don't think I have one favorite. For me, I would say just because he's such a loving child. Like every single day he asks me, "Oh, mommy, how's work? How are you today?" If I'm sad, he knows I'm sad. Like he's just such a sweet boy. So for me, I love everything about him. There's not one thing I can say I love,
Yeah.
above everything else. It's just him as a whole, to be honest. Yeah.
Oh, well, shout out to Israel in the bath.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for coming on today, Flo. I really appreciate
No
it.
problem.
And I'm sure I'll be seeing you very soon.
Oh yeah, you will.
Okay. Have a good
All
one.
right.
Bye.